Good morning. Well, this Sunday, President Kim Jong-un, who came to power in 2011, tested the sixth nuclear bomb. Sure, within a few days, although he has launched totally 83 ballistic missiles, and this nuclear bomb that he exploded is a thermonuclear bomb, 5 times as powerful as the first detonated deep underground in that country's northern mountains. And the response was a firm declaration that this would not be permitted to go on, that North Korea must denuclearize. North Korea raises many questions. The questions of denuclearization, the question of trade, the question of the possibility of the Third World War. But then let's look to the major aspect. Why this concerted, world united attack on North Korea, that it stops its program? Isn't this a sign of hypocrisy of the Western powers or the nuclear group to demand nuclearization? Everybody says that North Korea's march towards becoming a nuclear power must be stopped. Okay, stop it. But why? That's a question. What right has the kettle got to call a pot black? I am not in favor of nuclearization, and I always said that the nuclear energy should be used for the peaceful purposes rather than for killing people. And the point has been that till now, all attempt has been to see that they don't nuclearize. Earlier, the attention was focused on Iran, and US has then adopted the same policy both in Iran and in North Korea, that of trying to bribe people. They bribe the governments. They call it giving them aid. I call it giving it a bribe. The same was done in Pakistan. Now, let's see basically the facts of life. Which country doesn't have nuclear power? If it can afford it, by right means or by the wrong means. When the cooler heads are there, and when the bribes don't work, they threaten, they bluster the Western powers, and then they accept. US says that North Korea is begging for war. The Britain Foreign Minister Boris Johnson says he is reckless. Even India deplored its action with this test and claimed that it has gone against the objective of denuclearization of Korean Peninsula. China has condemned it, Russia has condemned it, France has condemned it. It's deplorable. India wanted to go to nuclear club in the first place, and it used spent fuel from Canadian nuclear reactors to produce weapon-grade plutonium. That was despite a solemn promise given to the Canadian Prime Minister that the Canadian-built Cyrus reactors would be used for peaceful purposes. And that did not stop Prime Minister Harper from selling uranium to India again in 2015 after a 45-year freeze between the two countries over India's going nuclear. Pakistan stole the secrets and build its nuclear power plant. And then it sold to Middle East, to Saudi Arabia, and to North Korea. Why was no action taken against Pakistan? President Macron condemns North Korea. Okay. Condemn it by all it means. But has he forgotten that what he calls a lawless act was nothing but a repetition of what Charles de Gaulle did when Southern Pacific tests were conducted by France? People protested that France was blowing up paradise in the South Pacific. And the response of de Gaulle was, we are compelled to acquire the most powerful of ages. Is North Korea not compelled? Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov declared that they deserve the strongest condemnation. And Putin himself said that a Trump road is the approach to nowhere. The Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi says that President Un of North Korea took a wrong direction to fly in the face of the world opinion. Now, what do have USA, Russia, France, India, Britain, and China in common? What have they? These countries, along with 3 other countries, all have a huge quantity of nuclear arsenal and long history of testing nuclear weapons. 93% of the world's estimated 18,000 nuclear weapons are with Russia and USA. Imagine it. Each country has already deployed more than 2,000 of these weapons ready to fly. At a moment's notice, more than enough to end the civilization. And not once, but many times over. So, why this trembling in the knees? If Iran tried to become one and North Korea has become one, South Africa has it, Israel has it, news are that Saudi Arabia has it, Iran possibly has it. On their way to becoming nuclear powers, what did Russia and USA do? They test-fired their weapons the same way North Korea is doing now. USA conducted 1,030 tests since 1945. And the last test was in 92. Russia conducted 715 tests, most recently in 1990. Compare 83 tests by North Korea with 1,030 of USA, 715 of Russia. And what Russia did? Nobody condemned Russia for that. It detonated a bomb of 58 megatons. 58 megatons. And it was conducted above ground. At least North Korea is conducting all tests underground. Now we talked of Russia and USA possessing 93% of the world's more than 20,000 weapons. Look at France, 300 weapons. China, 260. UK, 215. India, 130. Pakistan, 140. And then we call it disarmament and denuclearization. By stopping Iran earlier by paying them billions of dollars, you did not end the ambition. By stopping North Korea are trying to stop North Korea because now the time is past. North Korea is a nuclear power, whether you accept it or you don't accept it. And let's see what happened. In 1 year, North Korea has become nuclear power despite all the bluster, all the sanctions of United Nations. And then, have we forgotten that more than 120 countries passed a resolution, legally binding resolution, to ban nuclear weapons? Have they been banned? And have these countries destroyed their nuclear weapons? And I'm amazed that Canada, which is a non-nuclear country, has also said no, that agreement should not be signed, banning should not be there. Countries that say that they'll do anything to curb the spread of nuclear weapons are resolutely refusing to give up their weapons. And not only that, but they're upgrading their weapons. And they're not shy about saying that. A nuclear weapon, a nuclear arsenal is the best way to deter your enemies and guarantee your sovereignty. And that is what Kim Un is doing. Is he crazy or is he realist? Let's accept that. Now imagine it, India, Pakistan, Israel, all obtained nuclear weapons despite the provisions of NPT, which came into force in 1970. 190 countries signed it. India did not sign it. Pakistan signed it. Israel did not sign it. Saudi Arabia signed it. Iran signed it. But those countries still build their nuclear weapons and they face no consequences. The sanctions imposed on India and Pakistan, in fact, help these countries become more self-reliant and progress. Because when the sanctions are there, then it becomes difficult to go ahead without foreign help. So you develop your internal strengths and find innovative ways to have the situation. Now, Kim's fear that in case he stops or denuclearizes, he'll meet the same fate what Colonel Muammar Gaddafi of Libya had. He was building weapons. US requested him, or rather told him not to build weapons. He stopped, and the result was within 2 years, he was removed and killed. That perfidy and treachery of USA has unnerved North Korean leaders, and they don't want to take that road. Same happened to Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein's nuclear plant was demolished by the Iraqis. He was going to rebuild it again. USA told him not to do it. He accepted it. Kim was 19 when Gaddafi was killed. And yet he has not forgotten that. Now, if the world wants to stop him from building nuclear weapons, then it has to show him that possessing nuclear weapons of mass production is as good a carte blanche as anyone can get. Let the powers take a decision to destroy all the weapons. The SALT Treaty, Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty, is dead as dodo. Now, my point is, I'm not saying that it is good to have nuclear weapons. They are horrible. They are anti-human. But what is sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. You cannot have one set of values for the countries which already possess and possess in numbers that boggles human mind, and the countries which want to possess them to protect and safeguard themselves. Why this hypocrisy? That's a question which rebounds again and again to one's mind. The way to solution is to accept the fact that North Korea is as good a member of the nuclear club as Russia is, as China is, France is, India is, Pakistan is. Now, India and Pakistan officially are not. Israel is officially not. But they are better than not being officially because there are no restrictions on them. There are no inspections of them. And 93% of the nuclear weapons monopolized by Russia and USA, are they not a matter of danger to the whole world? One tweet from President Trump can end the world. Maybe what T.S. Eliot wrote, the word ends not with a bang, but with a whimper, might be translated into the word would end with a bang and a tweet. The tweet leading to the bang. North Korean imbroglio is not something which is beyond solution. I do not say that they should accept it, but at the same time, there should be no force used. There should be a surety that the country shall not be decimated. Now, this is something positive that is happening when Mattis, the Defense said, we have no desire to annihilate North Korea. That would be a positive thing. When President Trump says that we have no desire to nation building, that's a positive thing. But accept them as they are. That's the way out. And not to say that this country is a pariah. You cannot call a country a pariah and yet expect that country to behave responsibly. And then get over the hypocrisy. Let's be sure that knowledge cannot be contained. If one country has it, if two countries had it, and then 5, and then 7, and then 10, nothing is going to stop other countries from acquiring it. What is required is stop that need to acquire it. As long as the need is there, countries would do it. And the terror would continue to haunt the public. But hypocrisy is strictly no, and yet it rules the politics of today. Thank you.